You'll find wildfire restaurants around Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Minneapolis, and the Chicago area. They're famous for their braised beef short ribs, so I've asked Wildfire's executive chef Joe Decker to show me how it's done for this What's for Dinner segment. The first question is, what does braised mean?
Braising is a process whereby it's a little bit less tender piece of meat.
Right.
So it needs a sort of a slow, long cooking time. So we're going to actually brown the meat.
Okay.
We're going to season it and brown it.
All righty.
And then we're going to remove the meat and add some aromatic vegetables to it.
Okay.
Which we show you here.
Nice and healthy.
And then we're going to add some wine, usually wine. Sometimes you could do beer, vinegar, and some stocks. Okay. And then we're going to put it in the oven and cook it for a good 2 hours.
So it's a slow
Till
cook.
it's fork tender.
We season the meat evenly with salt and pepper. Don't worry too much about over-seasoning. Some of it will fall off when it's browned.
Excellent.
Perfect.
And these particular pieces, 12 ounces of meat, but what it does is it cooks down to about an 8-ounce piece of meat.
Oh, it shrinks down.
Yep.
Okay.
This is exactly for 4 people.
Next, we chop the onions, carrots, celery, and garlic into large pieces. They're just for flavor in the sauce, and they'll be strained out later. Joe gives me a few cutting tips, too. So I rest it against my finger.
Yeah, and just be very careful. And keep your fingers straight.
Okay.
And take your time.
All right.
Pretty good job.
Not bad?
Not bad.
Being very cautious.
Yes.
How's that?
That'll work.
Perfect.
And then you can do the same thing
With the celery?
But even if once you get really used to it,
Yeah.
then you can just kind of go like this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I can have a conversation.
Okay, I'm not at that part yet.
While I cut the carrot or cut the celery.
Bay leaves, minced rosemary, and thyme are also needed. Once all of the ingredients are prepped, it's time to get cooking.
We've got our meat that's seasoned, and the first part of that is we're going to brown the meat. So we're going to get our pan very hot. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil to the pan. We're going to brown the meat on both sides. It's very important. You want that caramelization because that's going to add flavor.
How much on each side?
You'll see the brownness, the golden brown, kind of almost charred look to it will give it the most flavor. And once we're going to do that, we're going to take our meat out of the pan, and then we're going to add our vegetables to it. We're going to add our garlic, our onions, our celery.
Right in the same pan?
Right in the same pan.
Okay.
And then the same thing with our herbs. We're going to caramelize those. Because when we talk about caramelizing, we're talking about adding flavor to the dish and also color to the dish. So once the caramelization and the vegetables have occurred, we're going to add the wine and the vinegar, the balsamic vinegar and the red wine to the pan. Now it's important through that process of reducing the wine.
Okay.
Because if you add the wine and then just throw all the other ingredients in, the dish will be what they call raw.
Right,
It'll be like,
it's too much.
It'll be boozy.
Right.
Some people might like that, but in
that.
this particular case, we want the sauce to be very, very smooth and eatable. So we're going to reduce the wine down about halfway.
Okay.
And then we're going to add the stocks to it. We're going to add tomatoes to it.
Nice.
And then we're going to add the meat back to it. We're going to cover it with this piece of parchment paper.
Okay.
And then we're going to put the lid on it. And we're going to put it in the oven. We're going to go sit down and we're going to have a beer.
It cooks in the oven at 350 degrees for about 2 hours. The short ribs go great with mashed potatoes and roasted vegetables.